Go. All right. Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Firebreathin Rob. If you go to www.youtube.com/FIREBREATHINROB, you can check out all of our videos. And we do videos with interesting people that do amazing things, not only for our community, but our world in general. So keep listening to the videos, subscribe, and also share these videos so we can get them out to more people. We greatly appreciate that. Today we have somebody that's been on the guest. This is his third time. It's Arnaud Goran. He's been on, and he's told all kinds of different stories in the 3 times that he's been on, and that's why we're bringing him back, because he's an amazing guest. And he's got tons of stuff to bring to the table. But today we're going to focus on dating, social distancing, and all that jazz. So Arnaud, thanks so much for coming back. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate being on the show again.
All right. So Arnaud, let's talk about this. First of all, before we get into all the stuff that's going on right now, I want to talk about this as far as, you have a course and it's about attracting a soulmate. Can you speak about that and how that course revolves around attracting a soulmate?
Well, absolutely. So the course is called How to Attract a Soulmate, and you can just go to .com and you can learn more about it. The basic idea is there's 3 parts. Part number 1, manifest or create or attract the person that you want, which means you need to create some clarity in your mind about what you're looking for. And there are quite a few exercises you're going to go through to really get clear on what it is you're looking for. How can you know you've met the person you want if you have no idea what you're looking for? And if you don't get clear on what you want, how can the universe bring her or him to you? So that's number 1. And a lot of my clients who've been through it already say this is a masterclass on the art of manifestation and the best one they've ever seen. I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But that's just the first part. The second part is about becoming attractive from the inside out. Instead of focusing on the external stuff, which you ought to do too, there's training on how to make yourself energetically attractive. So you just look hotter. You just have a magnet inside of you that wasn't there before. And that's really a bonus, but it's good because it prepares you mentally for the coming of someone. It's like you're getting your mind into a place where you're expecting them instead of wondering, oh, will I ever meet someone? And that's a big shift. And then the third part is the real juicy part. This is where no one else has ventured to go before, like in Star Trek. This is where I tell you the real reason why none of the other techniques out there work, including my own, unless you understand the big secret of why people have walls between them and their goals and how to tear them down. And I think that's what makes my program different than any other program on the planet. So, it's one of those things where if it's something you're looking for, you just go to my website, howtomanifestyoursoulmate.com, and watch some of the videos and just learn a little bit more about it and see if that's what you're into. But if you really do want to meet someone, whether it's a long-term relationship or something more short-term, you can learn that from my program.
That being said, why do you think our culture is so geared to all this? You got to look like this model. You got to look like, this person. And they're not really geared to, I feel like, the intelligence aspect, the caring aspect of a woman that we all really want, because when we're married to that person, for a lifetime.
That's a really deep question. Why does society focus too much on the external and not enough on the internal? And for me, that's been a long time question, because I grew up in the Seattle, Washington area where it rains 330 days a year. And really, it's more like dark gloom looms overhead all day, every day. And so you live in a world where everyone's bundled up all the time and girls are in scarves and jackets and you can't see what they look like. And so it doesn't really matter as much because there's not as much time or ability to even show. And so I found myself in a world where when I talked to girls, I'd ask them what they're looking for in a guy, and they would tell me they're looking for confidence, a good personality, someone who gets along with their family, all inner stuff, right? Someone they can trust, someone that makes them laugh, those types of things. And they never say anything like a guy with a nice car or a guy with big muscles or tall or any of those things. Then I moved to Southern California and I find out that it's reversed. When I ask girls what they're looking for, They usually don't want to admit to it, but eventually you find out what they're looking for is a guy who has lots of money, who has a nice car, who is tall, who has big muscles, and they don't mention all the other inner stuff. And I thought, is it because there's more sunshine in California? So people can see what you look like more? Or did all the shallow people just move to one area? What happened? And it's a really interesting question. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we've become a very video-oriented society. We're looking at videos on our phone, we're looking at videos on our tablets, on our TVs, and our computers a lot more than we were before. And we are all now becoming stars of our own shows. Everyone has a podcast now, right? That's the new saying. And so if you're on TV a lot or you're on your camera a lot, then you want to look good, and looking good is the first impression. And so there's a lot of emphasis and focus on that. And what I hope will evolve to is realizing that the first impression is only the beginning. And then what counts is what you say and how you act. My old martial arts master used to say, when people first meet you, they decide if they like you first based on how you look. So you better look good. Second, they go by what you say. And finally, they judge you by what you do. So you need to look really good to begin with.
Agreed. So, Arnaud, why do you feel like a lot of men lack confidence now? We see that, that somebody could be a real tall, good-looking guy, somebody, but, there could be a guy that's short and he might have all the confidence in the world. So what do you feel like the confidence of a man depends on? Is it something that you're born with? Is it something that you work up to?
I love that question. I actually have a whole course just on building your confidence. There's two sides to confidence. My old martial arts master would say confidence comes from knowing. So for example, with external confidence, there's internal and external. With external confidence, if you practice something a lot and you get really good at it, you know you can do that, you have confidence in that. Then there's internal confidence. Internal confidence is your unconscious mind and then how you feel or think about that subject or about yourself. So if you have fear of public speaking, even though you've done it 1,000 times and you're masterful at it, you'll still feel a little bit of incompetence or lack of confidence because that fear is still in there in the unconscious mind. So you got to erase those unconscious programs. That's all they are, is old programs like on a computer. And then you have internal confidence. So it takes both. It's the same thing when I teach about money. You've got to erase all the feelings and doubts you have about not having money, and you've got to learn how to actually do the techniques in real life that make money. It's the same thing with dating. You've got to erase all of the I'm not good enough, so I'm not worthy, and I'm not tall enough, so I don't have enough money, or whatever the BS is that's rolling in your head that tells you that you're not worthy of being with a great girl. And once you've erased that stuff, you've taken care of the internal side. The external side of confidence is just practicing, right? I told this one guy who just was so afraid to talk to women, just never would approach a girl. I said, listen, you got to think of it like this. There's 30 girls at this party we're at right now. And some of them are going to want to dance with you, and most of them are not. Or maybe more of them will, but you don't know. You don't know which of these girls are going to want to say yes when you ask them to dance. The only way you can find out is to go and ask all of them. And then you're going to find out which of them say yes. Now, what you could do is just keep asking girls until one of them says yes. But if someone says no, it doesn't mean that you're ugly or that they don't like you or that you're nobody. It just means no for right now from that person. Maybe you're not their type. Who cares? Go on to the next girl, go on to the next girl. And by changing his mentality from, if they say no, I'm a loser, to, I just need to go keep asking girls until one says yes. He went around the party and came back with this beautiful girl's phone number, and they danced and had a great time. And that was the first time he ever did that. He never practiced approaching women before. And after practicing just one time, his confidence went up massively.
But do you feel like loneliness is on the rise due to the lack of self-confidence in men and women in general?
I think so. I think in general in America, there's more and more loneliness. And part of it is that people are not used to approaching each other like they used to be. Because we're switched a lot to online dating, I don't feel like there's as much of just going up to a random stranger and saying, hi, how's it going? Like we used to do. You know, in the old days, 20, 30, 50 years ago, the way that a man met a woman was either an introduction, or they randomly went up to someone at the grocery store, at the movie theater. Oh, hi, who are you? What's your name? And I feel like now there's a lot more of like, oh, why are you talking to me? And where it used to be like, oh, hi. And the friendliness has shifted a little bit. But I also think that if you're practicing dating just through a computer or phone screen, and you're not practicing dating by going up to different girls you see that are beautiful and saying hello to them, you're not going to develop that confidence. So that could definitely be part of it. I also think that America as a culture is a lonely culture because of one very significant reason, which, you know, I've actually spent a long time researching. Why is America the worst when it comes to the murder rate? Why do we have a murder rate 5 times higher than everyone else? I don't know if you've seen that movie Bowling for Columbine.
Right.
It's all about that, right? And his conclusion is, well, we think it's because the media is just so fear-based in America, but it didn't really seem right. And I did come to a different conclusion. America is the only country in the world where children are born in a hospital. In every other country in the world, children are born at home. And when they're born in a hospital, it's often very traumatic. And in America, the media and movies tell us that birth is supposed to be scary and traumatic, but it's actually not. It's a very distorted view of how the experience goes. And I've had nurses in my courses from Australia who said they couldn't believe the way that birthing was done in America because it's very traumatic. And so a child's first experience of being born is very traumatic. The world is scary, bright lights, injected with vaccines, put on a cold scale, spanked, taken away from their mom, instead of in a warm, dark room at home with candles and music, and it's not painful and it's not insane. And then the baby's directly with mom. And it's a totally different experience. And then you have the only country in the world that is touch phobic, that's afraid of being touched by strangers. And then what does that lead to? Loneliness, tons of it. And then the idea that we're all quarantined has only made it much, much worse because now people are afraid to touch each other even more.
How do we attract girls right now, you know, with social distancing going on, Arnaud?
With every problem, there's 2 ways to look at it. One way is, oh no, this problem is going to screw up my life. The other way is, oh wow, I wonder how I can use this problem to make my life better. Maybe I can learn something from this. Maybe this is actually the best time ever for dating because people have a lot more time. You know, one of the big challenges before this was that people didn't have as much time for dating.
Right.
If you're a college person or you're a real career-minded person, you might be working all the time and then you're at the gym, and then how much time and energy do you really have to date? Whereas now you're sitting at home with nothing to do. Everyone's on Tinder right now. Everyone's on online dating.
Right.
It's actually the best time for dating. And because you can't touch each other right away, it does sort of force you to get to know them and them to get to know you. So it's actually a great time for video meetings, video dating. And you can actually talk to quite a few people, maybe even faster than you ever could before. So you can meet a whole bunch of girls really fast. Now, the bridge is going from a video date to actually meeting in person and having a real date. And you're gonna have to decide, do I wanna wait until the quarantine time is over where I'm at? I mean, yesterday, so today's April 22nd at time of recording, the governor of Georgia said he's gonna open up a whole bunch of different activities in Georgia. Who knows how long it'll be in our state or your state before we can go back out in public again. But all of this is really a recommended, please let's stay home so we don't spread the disease too fast and overwhelm the hospitals. That's the whole point, right? Well, is it really gonna make that much of a difference if you've met this girl that you're totally crazy about and she's crazy about you and you've been chatting every day for 2 weeks for you two to start dating in person? Really? Is it really going to impact the hospital system that much if one okay, now I'm not saying everyone should do that, all right? So it's up to you to decide, like, you know, how big of a deal is it to meet this person? And then, of course, there's your own personal fear or risk level that you're willing to accept with what if you were to get it and what you believe about your health and how all that works, which is a totally different conversation. But it's still a great time to meet people because people have time. So you can meet lots of girls and set up dates for the future. Or if you just can't wait, then, well, I'm not going to tell on you if that's what you're wondering.
Arnaud Goran here on Firebreathin Rob. How do you feel like all these apps and websites have affected dating? And do you feel like it's really, you know, going to hurt all these kids down the road because they're dependent on, you know, talking to people on the computer instead of talking to people in person?
Well, I know what you're saying as far as a potential problem, but I think overall, dating apps have made dating a lot better. It's much, much easier to meet people that you're looking for, to find someone that matches what you're looking for than ever before. I mean, if you watch a really old time period movie, like a movie set in like a Jane Austen time period, like 1700s France, what you're going to see is that people want to get married right away because they generally only meet a few people throughout their whole life. They don't meet that many people. So they're not very choosy about who they marry, and they want to marry quickly. And we kind of make fun of that now. Like, why would you marry someone you just met? Well, because you're only going to meet 10 maybe eligible people in your entire lifetime. Whereas now you can meet 10 people in an hour. And so the opportunity to meet people and to have that exploration of what kind of person really suits you is just fantastic. And it's much better than it ever was because of all these apps. It's amazing. And you can meet people. You can meet people from all over the world. It's wonderful. But there can be some drawbacks. The pendulum might swing way too far for a while, or just for some people where they're just lost in their phone all the time and you can't get them to put it down and talk to you. They won't look at you. They don't even know how to look someone in the eye. They're not comfortable with human contact. They're not comfortable with a hug or with, you know, the physicality of life. And if that's the case, well, we're just going to have to sort of create some social, I would say, structures, plans. I think what naturally will evolve is that people will create programs to help train people up in the physical connecting with other people, whether it be through parties or whatever it is.
Why do you believe divorces are up?
It's evolution. Generations ago, people would get married and feel that no matter what, they could not end the marriage, that they did not have a choice. And what's happened is we've evolved out of that, and we've said we are not going to accept an unhappy life. Just because we made a vow to love one person forever, we're not going to stay miserable and unhappy forever because of that. We must choose happiness. And so we're seeing people refusing to stay in bad marriages, whereas before people stayed in bad marriages their entire life. And it's just not, people are just not going to take it anymore. It's actually, in my opinion, a really good thing that people are not going to suffer in their love life for decades upon decades. And you still have a problem in society today, people staying in a bad marriage for the kids, which isn't really for the kids, because it's bad for them to witness an unhealthy relationship and be around it and exposed to it all the time. What we want to do is move to harmonious relationships in all of our romantic relationships. Now, the problem is people don't often go deeper and deal with the issues that are there. And instead they just run away from their problems by getting a divorce. And then what they do is they end up recreating all those problems again with somebody else. And after that happens a couple of times, they often start to realize, well, hopefully, wow, there must be something inside of me that's attracting this pattern of the same issue with different people. Or what I also see in older people who are in their 50s or 60s is they start to really believe that it's the opposite sex that is just that way. Like all men are that way or all women are that way because they've married 4 times and they were all the same, never once realizing it's because of them and they attracted the same problems with different people.
Arnaud, do you feel like it's because people are getting married too soon, though? Do you think that's an issue?
Not really. And I also don't think it has to do with them living together or not living together first. I saw a study where people who lived together and then got married, people who didn't live together and then got married, have the same divorce rate. I think it has more to do with people, when they get into serious relationships, almost always are getting married to someone who matches them at their deepest pain, their deepest unconscious wounding, right? Their fear of abandonment, their fear of being verbally abused, their fear of, or their anger that their dad was an alcoholic, like whatever their big issue is inside, the biggest one or many issues, that's usually the magnet that attracts their sweetheart. Not their conscious mind or their divine guidance telling them this is the right person for you. Most of the time, they're attracting someone that they feel that connection to because deep inside, unconsciously, they match on the unconscious patterning. And so then what happens is all those unconscious issues start coming up, usually after 3 months, sometimes after 6 months, definitely after a year, they start facing all those issues. And then they run away because in the past, you had to stay together no matter what. Whereas now, you can just say, well, screw that. And that's good that we're not choosing to stay in bad relationships, but the problem is those unconscious issues need to be dealt with.
Right. I agree with you 100%. Arnaud Goran here on Firebreathin Rob. Arnaud, to end the interview, can you just tell people where they can find more about you?
So you can learn more about my soulmate course at howtoattractyoursoulmate.com. Of course, from there, you can click on my YouTube channel button and you can go to YouTube. On YouTube, I have a free video series called Guide to Better Relationships. So if you're interested in learning more about relationships, you can do that. I've got some other free webinars that you can learn more about through my YouTube channel, like the 5 Secrets of Ending Drama in Relationships. Look up my name, Arnaud Goran. I know it's really easy to spell, and you'll find my YouTube channel and my website and all those different things that you're looking for.
Arnaud, thanks so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you having me on the show.